So, welcome back from spring break. Hope you guys enjoyed your time in spring break. We're going to play with Legos today. But as we do this, I wanted to tell you we're starting a new series. Because if you didn't know it, you have roughly 6 weeks of school left. Great. Now, where are most of my seniors? Is having 6 weeks of school left a good thing or a bad thing? Nobody's nervous? All right, because college is terrible and it's really hard and don't do it. Just kidding. It's awesome. Best thing ever. So, some of you guys are super excited. Some of you guys don't care. You haven't thought about it yet. Wherever you're at, we're going to talk these next 2 weeks about what it looks like to finish well. You're ending your semester. We're going to talk about what it looks like to finish well and to launch yourselves into summer in just a great way, to finish strong. And a lot of the things we talk about, I think, will be things that will apply to you as you also look at finishing well in other seasons of your life. So this week, we're going to talk about our past. We're going to remember our past and look back. And then next week, we're going to look at embracing our future. And in order to do that, I wanted to look back at what life was like the years that you guys were born. I'm going to look back at the years. So I think I've got people born in 99, and then I just taught in middle school, and so I'm actually going to show you what life was like. They were born in 2006. So as I looked back at this, I started high school in 99, so it was a little awkward for me, and some of you leaders started earlier, but that's cool. You're good people too. But I need 4 volunteers who are expert Lego stackers. Mason? Yeah? Yep. Any girls? Kaylee? Come on. All right. So, before I tell you what happened the years you were born, I'll pick a table, and I have child-sized Ziploc bags. You could literally fit a small child. I've never seen bags this big. You guys are going to take out your Legos, and you're going to stack them in one stack. Not a race. You'll be done in 5 seconds. Could take you a little while. But what you will do is stack your Lego stack. When you're done, go ahead and sit down, and I thank you for your service tonight. All right, who was born in 99? Okay. In 1999, a little thing called Napster was created. Raise your hand if you know what Napster is. Okay. So here's why you don't know what Napster is. Napster was a file-sharing platform that basically you would download a song, and it would be part of your profile. And we all had dial-up back then. And so then you would look at someone else's and you'd say, oh, yeah, I want the Macarena. I'm going to download that. Sometimes you would start downloading it. You would go to school and you would come back and it would be 15% done. That's how we downloaded music. Now, the reason you also don't know what Napster is because it turns out it was illegal. And we were stealing music. And some people went to jail because of it. Thankfully, not me. I got out quickly. 2000, who was born in 2000? The first camera phone was invented the year you were born. None of you in here know life without a phone with a camera. I had multiple phones without cameras. 2001? 2001 was the first iPod. I have the first iPod. iPod Generation 1, 4 buttons on the top and a little wheel that you thought would spin but doesn't actually spin, and it blew your mind. And now my iPod's on my wrist. It's crazy. Lots happened in this time. How about 2002? 2002, Skype. Something else. Hold on. Something else in 2002 was Listerine breast strips. Those were terrible. So Listerine breast strip, you would take it out and you put it on the back of your tongue and it would dissolve and it was super powerful. Sometimes it wouldn't dissolve and it was disgusting. So that was 2002. Any 2003 in here? 2003. iTunes music store. It was actually the invention of 2003. So it was the first time we could probably more legally obtain music, and probably just music at the time, 2003. Now, 2004, so there's probably none of you in here, but this would be our 8th graders. 2004 was Facebook. 2005, YouTube. Wait, back to Facebook. I was actually in college when Facebook was created, and Facebook was created as a college networking site. So in order for you to get onto Facebook, you had to have a college or university email address. And so next to my name would be like, Robbie Roate, Evansville, 07. Like, that's how you met people at other schools and reconnected with friends. And then shortly after that, high schoolers got it and college kids got mad. And then parents got it and everyone got mad. So we had 2005 was YouTube, we saw. 2006, Twitter. Now, shortly after this, 2007, which would be our 5th graders, was the first iPhone. So now my son is 6, and he can do anything and probably more on an iPhone than I can do. And so for most of you that were born in 99, you were like 8 when an iPhone came out. First time in smartphones, you probably didn't have much interaction with them. So this group, you do not really know what life is like without an iPhone or a smartphone, and it's crazy. But now we even look back that far and to where we've come, and it just blows my mind at how quickly things are changing, especially technology. So now I have some tables here, and wow, this is good. I appreciate it. This needs to be really high. That was the point. That's okay. It didn't last time. We'll see what happens. So I know that this sounds probably a little sad and depressing, but as we're talking about remembering our past, I read a couple articles recently, and they interviewed people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And they asked them to look back on their lives. And they asked them what they mostly remember and what are the things that really stick out in our lives. And it's kind of sad to hear it, but a lot of them talked extensively about the regret that they had in their lives, the mistakes that they've made, the way they've hurt people, broken relationships. And so for us today, these towers, the Legos, they represent the sin in our lives, okay? So we look back in our lives, and there's a lot of good things, but for the most part, we remember some of the mistakes we've made and the sins that we've had in our lives. And while it's really sad, the second I said sin, what I'm guessing happened with a lot of you, because it did with me, is you start to look at these tables, and you start to say, all right, this guy's bad, right? It's a bad dude. Maybe killed somebody. I don't know. Bad person here, right? Lots of sin. This person, pretty good. Probably the best here, right? And then this one is, probably some of you think you're here, but you didn't want to be called out, so you add a little more here, and this is you. And this person's kind of like, man, they're not that bad, but they're not this good. And so you begin to size yourself up and say, if I'm honest about my life, where do I fall? Maybe I did something illegal. I got caught up into some stuff and got in trouble, and so I'm a little worse. And but I told some lies. I gossiped about some people. Hopefully none of you in here. I killed somebody. I looked at some stuff I shouldn't have. My language hasn't been good. The way I've treated people has been less than stellar. Like, it just hasn't been good. So you start to size yourself up. But then the other thing we do is we start to look at this and say, looking around the room, I know who this one is. I know what friend of mine is this guy. I know who this is. They've made some mistakes. They're probably not being honest. They might be there, but they're probably saying they're here. And man, this person's really good. Like that's who that is. But wherever we're at on the spectrum, we look at it, we reflect on our lives, and these tables begin to define who we are. We see this, if we're this person, we're looking at, we're saying, man, I'm bad. Like, there's no way that God's going to forgive me. People look at me here and they already make a judgment call on who I am. I can't fix it. And honestly, we probably go to, that's my reputation. I'm just going to live there. I'm going to be that person. This person over here is like, I'm a really good person. I'm not as bad as them. I'm really great. But they might see a different need, and you're like, oh no, I'm really good. I don't really need Jesus in this moment. I've got it under control. Like, I'm good. These people are like, could be better, could be worse, but it's okay. And as we place who we are, and as we judge others and look at them, however we define ourselves by our past, it begins to bleed into all of our relationships. If you're this person, you're probably not treating a lot of people really well. You're probably really struggling with what a healthy relationship looks like. And this person over here says, I'm better than a lot of these people. I'm not going to spend my time with them. And this person knows there's a need, and they try hard, but they make mistakes. Sometimes they begin to just define their lives and who they are. We look at these and we define ourselves by them, and it affects who we are. But there's something really crazy that happens. We all know who Saul is when we hear in the Bible, Saul. Or how about we hear Paul? We hear Paul. So Saul was who he was before he became Paul. And Saul was a bad dude. Like, Saul would be over here. Saul was killing people because they were just simply Christians. He was throwing people in jail. Saul met Jesus on a road and his life changed. And Saul then, probably could be maybe down here, but what he did is he looked at himself, and you know what Paul defined himself as? The chief among all sinners. Paul still recognized that I made mistakes, I had sin in my life. But Paul wrote the majority of the New Testament. And in fact, one thing Paul wrote that's just crazy is Romans 3:23. Should have it up there. Maybe not. It says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Okay? So we look at all these. Yes, I see sin. But this person has fallen short of the glory of God the same as this person, same as this person, the same as this person. Because in that context, it puts us on a level playing field. We've all sinned, and we've all fallen short of the glory of God. Now, I said earlier in this that you guys sit there and you look at those stacks, and they define you, they define who other people are, they define the way you treat people, the way you see people, the way you interact with people. But see, God looks at things a little bit different. See, God does this. Not actually, this ladder's a little rickety. He probably doesn't climb a ladder. God looks down. What does God see here? He sees a Lego. He sees sin. Okay? God goes over here. Wish I was a little taller, so it'd work. Looks down here. What's he see? He sees a Lego. He sees sin. Looks here. He sees a Lego. He sees sin. Looks down at the big one. He sees a Lego. He sees sin. He doesn't see the stack. He sees the one from the top. And God looks down at this and he says, man, he goes, these are my children. I love them. But because of this sin that's on their lives, like, we can't have a relationship, and I want that. So he sends his son, Jesus, to die for us on the cross. So Jesus comes down. You know, we just celebrated this, Good Friday and Easter. Jesus comes down, perfect. He has no Legos in his life. He looks at it, and he goes to the cross, and you know what's on him on the cross? You know what he's bearing? He's bearing our Legos. He's bearing our sin. I know it sounds silly, but if this represents our sin, he takes this to the cross with him. And he takes this, and he takes this, and he takes this. Because he says, I want you to live life and live it abundantly, but you can't do it apart from me. So in order for that to happen, the final sacrifice needs to be made. Jesus dies on the cross, he defeats death, and he raises again. His blood is shed to cover this. Guys, here's the thing. No matter how you entered tonight, the cross is the ultimate equalizer in our lives. We can come to the cross no matter where we're at. Because some of you walked in and you're here, and you need to know that no matter how bad you've been, what the mistakes are, the sin that's in your life, God sees you, he sees your sin, and he died. And if we believe that, and if we confess that with our mouths, and we live it with our lives, he covers that sin, and it's wiped out. Doesn't mean that we will no longer sin. It doesn't give us the freedom and permission to sin at all times. But it means that when we do make those mistakes, guess what? It doesn't define us. Jesus defines us. And this person walked in here thinking, I got it. I never experienced that. But you know what? You might not have understood the magnitude of it, so you never really invested in what your life and what your faith and what your relationship with Jesus is like. You've lived on your parents' faith. And in between, it's the same thing. We look at it in a different perspective based on where we've come. The fact of the matter is, God sees us and he loves us, and he did this for us. So what do we do with it? You know, this person probably has a little bit more to be thankful for in the case of this story, because their sin was maybe a little greater, and this one maybe doesn't get it. But really, we all didn't deserve it, no matter where we came from, no matter how good we were, but we were given it freely. So what do we do with it? Well, there's some empty seats here tonight. And I get it. Some of you have friends that normally come and they've got athletic stuff going on, track or baseball or whatever. Some of them have academic stuff. Some of them have, birthdays that they're celebrating. Whatever it is, that's not the empty seat I'm talking about. Because if we come in here, no matter how it was, and we understand that apart from this, we cannot attain eternal life and the life that we need to live fully, then it's a shame on us that we aren't telling others about them. You have people around you every day that don't know this, that have never even heard this. And it is our responsibility, my challenge to you is to get them here. Not because I want so many people in this room, but I want you to understand what this meant for you in your life and get them here so they can hear the same truth before it's too late. Because this is what sets the God that we serve apart. He died and he rose so that we can meet him, and he comes down and meets us. I'm going to pray for you guys, and then we're going to be dismissed.